So welcome to the proposal writing jam session. I'm Kel Saucy from Northern Michigan University, and I'm here with Jason and Stefania and Janet, and we're just going to go through ideas for getting started with a proposal to MCT's Fall conference. The agenda for the jam, I'm going to give some conference updates, then talk about the call for proposals. We've done group introductions already, so I'm going to skip over that and I'll jump right into the nitty-gritty of the submissions process. Then we'll have some time to actually jam and talk about our work. And we'll stay in a whole group, no breakouts, Q&A and closure. So that's the plan for today. And so glad that you are here. All right, some conference updates. First of all, we do have keynote speakers, and the book is A Place to Write. By Rob and Amanda Montgomery. Rob Montgomery is a professor of English. He's at Kennesaw State University, and Amanda is an elementary teacher. And they are both very involved in the Kennesaw Mountain Writing Project. So we've got a couple of writing project people for the keynote. And not only do they advocate getting out of the classroom to write, but they also have a chapter on virtual spaces where you can take your students out of the classroom and into virtual spaces. So it's going to be an awesome keynote presentation, and then they do a workshop right after the keynote presentation. So if you want to stay around and dig a little bit deeper into that. And I'll give you a little heads up that we're going to have some free copies available to the first people to register for the conference. So when conference registration opens, know that it's possible to get a free book if you're one of the first in line. So there'll be some more information about that later. Our lunch speaker is a local Michigan person, Kristen Arola. She's at Michigan State University, directs the American Indian and Indigenous Studies program, and she's actually from my neck of the woods. So I'm up at Northern Michigan University in Marquette, and a little further north on the Keweenaw Peninsula is where the Keweenaw Bay Indian community is from, and those are her people. She's a member of that community. So she'll have a very hands-on presentation at the conference. So just trying to get you motivated to put in a proposal by sharing some of the speakers. And then there's one other cool thing happening. We have a pre-conference on the Thursday night before our day-long Friday conference that's optional. It's a separate $55 registration fee. But what I've put together are roundtables from many of Michigan's writing project sites. So you may not know it, but Michigan has the most writing project sites of any states except for California, which is where the National Writing Project started. And as soon as I put the request out, for our writing project sites to share the interesting things they're doing. Within minutes, they had said, yes, I'll do it. So we've got some really fantastic people. In fact, there's a picture of them at a National Writing Project event during NCT last year in Denver. So these folks are looking forward to sharing what they do and sharing with each other at the pre-conference. That's Thursday night. All right, so just an overview about the call for proposals. The theme this year is writing our place, grounding our teaching practices where we live. Having just returned to the state of Michigan after 14 years out on the plains in North Dakota, I am in love with this place again. I was in the Lower Peninsula with Jason or at the University of Michigan, where Jason is now, for my PhD, and loved Ann Arbor and exploring the Lower Peninsula. And now I live in the Upper Peninsula, and I'm amazed at the diversity of places in our state. And I feel like when we all come together for a conference, we have a lot to share about our different places and how that affects the way we teach. And the idea with MCT and NCT as well, the national, is it's teachers coming together to share teacher excellence. So we have wonderful practices, Stefania, what you do in your 7th grade classroom, what Jason has done with his 9th through 12th grade students, and then also what you've been doing since then in your graduate studies. That is what we want to bring together, celebrate, highlight, share with each other. So it's part of respecting teachers, valuing teacher expertise, and really realizing we have such diversity here. I am thinking of our Indigenous teachers, and Robin Wall Kimmer emphasizes that the land is our real teacher. If we go back and see what is the basis of everything, it's about paying attention to the land we live on, practicing reciprocity, protecting our resources, making sure we and the children we teach have access to clean water, clean air, and can live healthy lives, because in order to learn, we have to be healthy. So, my inquiry question, I guess, putting the challenge out to all of you, is what could it mean for English language arts teachers to look to the earth for guidance in how we teach? And I believe there's a lot of expertise on that topic across the state. So Joanne Archibald is another person that really influenced me for coming together with a theme. She wrote the book Indigenous Story Work. She is one of our relatives to the north in Canada, but she has said that, education, a common goal has always been to attain this mutual balance. So harmony among animals, people, elements of nature, and the spiritual world. So, again, emphasizing that it all starts with the land. And I've just been studying a little bit of Anishinaabemowin, or Anishinaabe language. And the word for education I learned from my teacher here is Kinomage, which translates roughly to earth shows us the way. So in the creation story, people were created last after the land and all of the animals. And because we're the newest occupants of the earth, we have a lot to learn from all the things that came before the land and all of the animals. And so looking to the earth for guidance is important as for being a lifelong learner. The other thing to keep in mind for putting together a conference proposal are MCT's commitments. So these have been around for a long time, and we renew our commitments every year at the annual conference. So using our platform to address racial violence and inequities in schools throughout Michigan. And 2, dismantling racism within our hearts, actions, and institutions, whether overt or expressed through the everyday centering of whiteness through our curriculum instruction, choice of texts, and institutional policies. So the picture that you see on this slide is of the early career educators of color cohort, which is one way through our institution of MCTE. We're looking to decenter whiteness and recognize the diversity of teachers coming up and becoming leaders in our organization. All right, so we did introductions already. So I'm going to dive right into the nitty-gritty of the submissions process. So when you go to the CFP, or the call for proposals, you'll see that one of the first documents on there is a worksheet for putting together your submission. And this is super useful. So I would click on that and download it. And and it will just guide you through the steps. But the basic parts are a title. And people always say, come up with a really descriptive title so that people will come to your session. And I find that that takes a long time, to come up with something that's unique and enticing and also accurate and gives a good idea of what my session's going to be about. And then the other part is the 50-word abstract. And usually people will have a chance to click through to your abstract if it's accepted for the conference and get an even better idea of what you're planning to do. And then you get a luxurious 300 words to talk about what your topic is, the content of it, the format, and your intended purpose for your presentation. In there, it's expected that you'll reference relevant research, but you don't have to put the works cited there. There's a separate section for that. So you get all 300 of those words. You don't have to subtract the citations out of them. It's important to pay attention to how your session is going to be furthering MCT's commitments that I just talked about. So, we definitely want to see evidence of the proposal contributing towards anti-racism. And then also how you're going to involve participants. So some of my favorite sessions have been ones where, we're creating something together. It could be, that we do some writing. It could be that we design a syllabus, an activity, and there's a sharing and exchange of information. So it's not expected that your conference session is going to be a lecture about your dissertation, but more how ideas, maybe from some research you've done, can be enacted in the classroom and how you can involve others in applying them. It's expected that in there, you'll also have a connection to the conference theme. And if you go to the full call for proposals, there's a long list of doorways in to that conference theme that I talked about briefly. And then there's a space to put your references as well. So those are the main parts of the submission process. And at this point, I'm going to escape out of here and pause the recording. And we'll talk in this Zoom room about your ideas. So let me stop sharing here and stop the recording. I think I can stop it. Did it stop? Let me try again.